Welcome back to another episode of Let's Finally Grow. I'm your host, Ariana, and I'm wearing Spilling Tequila merch. I just can't let it go, I guess. No. I guess I really like this color on me, and it's not like we're mad at Spilling Tequila. We just retired it for the time being. So just making a little appearance today saying hi. Okay. Okay, enough of that, Ariana. Get it together. But speaking of a change, once we were a Spilling Tequila podcast, and now we are Let's Finally Grow, Let's Fucking Grow podcast. It's Let's Finally Grow, but I can't stop saying Let's Fucking Grow because it hits. But on the topic of change, do we think that humans are capable of changing? Interesting, right? I feel that where I'm at in my life right now wouldn't have happened if humans weren't capable of changing. So fuck yeah, humans can change. It's bullshit to sit in any thought and think that people can't change, honestly. Let's be silly for a second. Let's be a little silly and have a giggle. I don't even think I've ever fucking said have a giggle before, but today we're having a giggle. And think about the time when we were literally born. I think we changed a little bit since then. We couldn't even talk then. I wouldn't have been able to have a podcast if I couldn't change. Do I need to say anything more? Is that the whole episode for today? No, it's not. I have a lot more to say. Humans are so much more capable of changing than we think they are, or the credit we give ourselves. The thing is that change does not come easily. Change does not come overnight. And you have to really want to change to be able to do so. I think that the one thing that I've gotten caught up on in my life, and probably a lot of other people do as well, it's about, can someone change from being a bad person to a better person? And I think they can. I really think they can. And I know that because I haven't always been the best version of myself. I've gone through definitely tough times in my life that have brought out sides of me that I am so embarrassed of and that I've grown so much from. From my own experience, I've learned, if I can change in that sense of, choosing to be a better person, then fuck yeah. And then that takes me to the next thought that comes to mind, which is, let's stop excusing bad behavior. I feel like I have heard the excuse, that's just how they are, more times than I can count. That's just how they are, you just got to accept it. And I have felt so aggravated by that excuse so many times. And sometimes I've looked within and I've thought to myself, why can't I accept that as an excuse, that some people are just that way and they don't know any better. If they knew better, they'd be better. And the reason why I can't accept that is because it's a fucking excuse that enables people. There has been times of my life where I have not been the best version of myself, like I said. And if I sit here and I think back to those moments, I know that I was in the wrong. And at that time, I knew that I was in the wrong. I was trying to get away with it. I was trying to get away with being in the wrong so I didn't have to face whatever the fuck I had to face to be a better person. So I really think when we say that's just how that person is, we are enabling the fuck out of them. It's like a lazy, enabling excuse to allow people to be shitty and not validate how they made someone else feel, which is just like, an annoying, lazy loser enabling situation all in one. Could you imagine if I wrote a book just from me speaking like this? And it was a lazy, enabling, loserish. Like, where the fuck do the commas fit in? Where does the period go? Are we on a new paragraph? Good thing I'm talking and I'm making sense this way. The easier thing to do in a situation when you're in the wrong is just hope that no one brings it up or no one notices it, because you don't want to deal with it. And when you give that an excuse of that's just the way they are, you're giving them exactly what they want. And I think that we just need to be a little bit better than that. If we want people to be better, we need to be better. And I'm not saying that we need to change people, because I think it's impossible for another person to change another person. And I have learned that the hard way as well. I am the kind of person where I love helping people. I always want to help people be a better version of themselves. And that has bit me in the ass so many times. I think it comes from a place of how much I helped myself. And I'm like, oh my God, no, guys, it's fucking possible. If I can do it, we can all do it. Let's go. And then I see like potential in people and I'm like, you can be better. You can do it. You can do it. And I wind up being shut out, a problem in a situation where I wasn't even involved because I was trying to help, and learning my lesson the hard way, because we can't do someone else's work for them. Everyone in this world has to learn the hard way. Like, it doesn't matter how much better you want for someone, they need to want it for themselves. I know, like, I have to learn the hard way with everything. I wish I could go back in time and have listened to what people were saying, telling me, knowing I was coming from a good place and my life would have been better. But at the same time, then I would have to lean on someone else instead of learning how to trust myself. So I am happy things have gone the way that they have. But when this applies to like romantic relationships, I've definitely tried to change partners into being something that I wanted or being a better version of themselves. And I think there also is a really big narrative that men should change for the right girl and become better. And I don't think that's how it goes. And I think a lot of girls get into relationships where they look at men as their son and they're constantly trying to change them and better them. And it's a motherfucking headache. Girls, it's never worth it. It is never worth it. And I have been this girl so many times. And really, like, if I'm saying I do this for friends, I've tried to help acquaintances that have come to me for advice and cared way too much about their situation. Imagine how I've been in romantic relationships. Yeah, I probably annoying as fuck. And honestly, you waste so much of your time and energy investing it in someone else who doesn't even see the potential you see in themselves and doesn't even want to change. It is such a mind fuck, and it is just not your problem to solve. But with that being said, people can change. They just have to do it on their own. Like, I don't think people are a lost cause. I think the narrative around it, thinking that people are a lost cause if that's just how they are, makes people feel like they already are when they don't recognize how much they can change. I think the best way that I've learned how to change myself is being inspired by people that probably don't even know how much they inspired me. And that's a win-win, because that is an example of someone working on themselves, changing themselves, bettering themselves, and inspiring others by doing that, not even having to like invest their energy in that person, but making people want to be a better person just by example. That's the only time it's really, really ever worked for me. I mean, there are situations where I feel like I'm at a place now where I can go to certain people in my life and I can ask for their advice, and I know that I trust their opinion, and I know that I'm going in a situation where I'm like, okay, if I am taking up this person's time and energy and asking them to invest their feelings into my life, I have to listen to what they say, because they're not going to say something that isn't true. And if I'm asking for the truth, I need to be willing to hear it and like change it on my own terms in my own way. And that really also just comes back down to respect. Like, there are so many people running around with so many issues, and we all have issues, but so many issues, and putting their problems on other people, asking for solutions, asking for people's advice, asking people to invest their time and energy in their life, and then not making any changes in their life. And I think that is just so disrespectful. I know that's not how people feel in the moment when they are in that constant battle and in that mode of their life. But if it's hard enough for you to handle your own problems, you have to know it's not easy for someone else to like want to help you and handle yours as well. You need to have enough respect that if you are going to put your problems on other people, you have to be willing to make the change. And if you're not ready to change, don't talk about it. But I also do feel like the less I talk about my problems with other people, the more change I'm doing inside of me, the more I'm learning how to like change on my own terms and not have to put that on anyone else. And I honestly really don't want to be around people that aren't making changes in their lives to be better. I don't want to be around those people where it's like, that's just the way they are, because I don't think that is just the way they are. I think that is an excuse that enables poor behavior and isn't helping anyone. But at the same time, maybe that's the like energetic level that you're matched with when you're at that level. Like, maybe that's what you need. Like, if you are sitting there and you are not willing to make changes in your life to be a better person, you're matched with people that literally don't care, because they're just like, oh, that's the way they are. So if you have people in your life that ever say that's the way you are, that's the way someone else is, that shows you where you're at. And that's not a good place to fucking be, so change it. Humans can change. I'm passionate about humans changing. Something I have been working on is understanding that people can change. So if a problem occurs in a friendship or the energy is off, I really am trying to not take things personally and not allow situations to get to any type of like reactive or explosive level, because then you're just causing chaos for no reason, and you're pushing people out of your life when people aren't who they really are, when they're at a low point, when they're going through something, when they're battling emotions in their life. That person can change and choose to be better, and you can be aligned with that person again and not have like all of this chaos to recover from. So I think it's really important to learn how to give space in situations when you don't feel like you're aligned with someone, or you feel like things just feel off. That's the best way to describe it. Things aren't someone in your life isn't making you feel good, and you don't know what to do about it, and you're worrying, you're trying not to take it personally. I think the best thing you can do is give space to a situation, because I have friendships that fell apart in my 20s, and they fell apart in such a messy way and became so explosive, and it felt so dramatic, and like and like end of the world. I will never speak to that person again. And I mean, my one friendship, we didn't talk for 4 years after being best friends for 12 years. Like, and we went 4 years without talking. And now I can't believe we didn't talk. Like for 4 years, I'm like, what? I'm like, we've been friends forever. Like, what the fuck? But we were growing in different ways of our lives, and we were changing on our own in our 20s, trying to figure shit out. And for whatever reason, we just weren't aligned. And if that was a more normalized thing of like, okay, we're just kind of going through things right now. We're doing our own thing. It doesn't need to be a fight. We don't need to feel betrayed. We don't need to feel neglected. Maybe we wouldn't have went 4 years without talking. And I mean, I've had other friendships in my 20s that the same thing happened. And now it's like, we're all good. Like, you know, we're good people, and we had a little bit of conflict, and we didn't know we didn't have like the right coping strategies to handle it. And we took it so personally, and it never needed to be that way, because the second that we got back together to talk about things, it was like no time has even gone by. And we feel so strongly about, we care so much about one another. People aren't always going to be the best versions of themselves. Like, life happens in crazy fucking ways every second. You never know truly what someone is going through. Like, the number one thing in my life that I am going through right now, I don't talk about it to anyone. I don't talk about it at all. If I am complaining about something or talking about something, it's something that is like surface level enough that it's not like that deep in me. So I feel like there have been confusing times where friends have been going through their own thing, and they probably weren't ready to speak about it, and they didn't even know how to speak about it. And next thing you know, everyone's upset, everyone's hurt, and it's just so unnecessary. And that's hard for me to say too. That's not an easy thing for me to admit, because I do feel like I've been hurt at times, like so deeply. And I want to sit there and say that person is just a bad person, but it's so much more than that. It's that person is choosing to be a bad person. And I also don't want to give the excuse and say, well, that's just how they are, because they can be better. And I feel like you don't have to hold on to hope too, that like every conflict that happens, relationship that is lost, needs to come back into your life. But it feels a lot better hoping for someone else to change and be a better version of themselves versus saying humans aren't capable of being better. That is just so stupid. There is no perfect person in this world that has just been a great person their entire life, that has not been a lower version of themselves when they were going through a hard time, while they were growing, while they were trying to figure their shit out. Like, we have all had that one toxic relationship that has made us the worst version of ourselves. I feel like your fucking 20s are crazy, because all of a sudden you went from being in school to being an adult, and you're trying to navigate how to treat yourself, how to treat others, and you're changing left and right. You're learning from your fucking mistakes the hard way. The point I'm trying to get across throughout this episode is that humans are so capable of change. You cannot change someone else at all. So stop. In romantic relationships, it does not matter how many times you yell at your partner to be something, do something that they just aren't going to be or don't want to do. And even if in that scenario someone changes for you in the moment, that's not going to equal long-lasting change. Like, long-lasting change, actually changing for the better, is having the desire to want to change for yourself. If you're in a situation in a friendship and you feel like things just aren't right, things feel off, someone's treating someone like shit, not right, that person is aware of what they're doing and capable of better. And you don't have to be the one to force them to be better, but you should be the one to remove yourself from the situation instead of giving them the excuse of that's just how they are. Because if you actually care about that person or just want them to be better, that excuse isn't going to help them. And even in a work situation, at the workplace, if you feel like you're dealing with bullshit or you're in a bad, toxic pattern in a workplace, unhealthy, and you feel like it's something you just have to deal with, you don't have to. You do not have to give it your energy, and you don't have to give the excuse of that's just how they are. Put that energy into yourself. Do not tolerate it. Distance yourself from the situation. Give it space and watch people miraculously change or not. But no matter what, you're okay. That's all that fucking matters. And if there's a situation where you feel like you're not the best version of yourself, little steps in the right direction make a big difference, and you can be better. I have been not the best version of myself. I think back and I'm like, holy fuck. How was that me? How did I act that way? And then I chose to be better. And now I'm like the most perfect person in the world. So no, I'm still fucking crazy and I'm still learning, but I'm not who I once was. And I'm going in a better direction. So yes, there is my wise words of wisdom for the day. Let's be the fucking change, embrace the change, and hold people accountable for the change or give them the space to change. Whatever is the most healthy. That's the direction we're going. I love you. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you soon. Mwah.